Mm. Should I get out the violins and play hearts and flowers for you?
I'd appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Oh, good morning, everyone.
Good.
I think, you know, this has been quite an adventure for me. I've been sitting here I sit here like clay. Now, I want you to tell this. And I took the oath to uphold, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States against all parties, foreign and or domestic. Well, it seems like we've got a lot of domestic problems. And I have sat at this computer 24/7, 365, trying to track down who murdered my husband, why they murdered him, and why this 9/11 incident happened, and the cause and the effect of all of it. Well, I think you're going to find out that when Mr. Obama called Mr. Putin a jackass and a dick, that was over. Very simple thing. Mr. Putin wanted his money. And that was, in essence, he wasn't relenting, and he was saying, hey, pay up or shut up, little man. And I believe this is what this whole thing over in Syria is about. I think it's about this reevaluating the global currencies. And I think all of you have an idea as to the dinar, the Iraqi dinar. Well, that thing's been jockeyed backwards and forwards. We discussed this last week. I think it was, didn't we, Claire, this week?
It wasn't last week, but the dinar wasn't that started by Gaddafi, and so we went in and fomented a revolution there to stop that issue.
I don't want to tell anybody it's a dinar, and the dirham is that untouchable. Well, this group of individuals that brought down the World Trade Towers, they have been trying to hoard all the gold and silver. And they tried to get me, I think all of you remember an incident back in some time ago, as to where the White House and Sam Gateman, well, Jamie Dimon over at J.P. Morgan and others offered D.K. Durham, CEO of Durham International Ltd. Holding Trust, and treaties, international agreements other than treaties, 12087, $40 billion in gold bullion, if she would underwrite those two $120 billion transactions, which totals to $240 billion total of the 1991 transaction. And I agreed with the caveat emptor that all the gold bars must be core drilled, assayed, and recertified, and then put into a bank of my choice. Well, that's when, first it was over in China, City Start core drilling and assay. Well, then they had all of their gold over there in Chinese banks. Well, to find out they've got nothing but gold-plated tungsten. Then they went to the other banks. China, she's discovered gold-plated tungsten. Russia discovered gold-plated tungsten. Fort Knox discovered gold-plated tungsten.
Well, let me stop you there. Let me stop you right there. When was the last time we audited Fort Knox? How much money do we have? Who's ever seen it? And who's ever core drilled it to find out if they haven't been stealing the gold for the last 75, 80 years, 100 years?
50. Yeah, well, it's been going on ever since Federal Reserve took over as the receivership of the U.S. bankruptcy. But anyway, right now, let's go back to addressing this dinar situation and why Mr. Putin has held his ground. And I don't blame the individual, because I've been very ticked off also. And
now, wait a minute. When you say, wait, just a moment, dear. Just a moment, dear. What? Please clarify. This is Russia's money we're talking about. You haven't clarified that. You said Putin was pissed off about it, and I believe, I've seen something about you. Right. Okay, go ahead then. Go right ahead, dear. Go right ahead.
All right.
I have to sometimes pretend like I'm actually earning my money here. Doing the right thing. Go ahead, dear.
Financial correction imposed on the global community, which includes Russia and China and the rest of mankind, which includes the Americans also, is believed to be based on the information contained in the informally made public in Veterans Today's News on November the 11th, 2012 article, being the true reason that Obama and Putin and China and others are jousting over Syria, which is a portion of the Mideast, as we all are aware, and it's all over money. Money that's directly connected with the 9/11 banking frauds. And Russia's involvement, well, there was a contract, a 10-year contract, and it was scheduled to pay out on or about 9/11/01. And there was an involvement at that time with the Hamilton and Hyun Investment Corporation down in Korea. And I think you can all remember that Korean brouhaha that was going on, and why the United States has been having to unravel Korea's feathers. Because hers is over money also. She got good way. But this was further involved with the USSR government loan facility, and the transaction code on it, now I think you should all write this down, was TB6, Tomboy Charlie. And with further identifying, and that was, 11 a.m. WS stroke 9102, further identifying Prime Minister of Yakutsko, Mr. Ivanov, Mr. K. Ivanov, to be exact. Excuse me. The Deputy Prime Minister of Yakutsko, Dr. D. Popov, the Bank of Foreign and Economic Affairs in Moscow, Mr. E. Sadovsky, and the coordinator for Yakutsko, in other words, the buying arm, was a Mr. Umlin. Now, if I'm reading these transactions right, and I've been at this since around 1962, the latest show of the backside of the U.S. corporate executive indulging in calling Mr. Putin a jackass and a dick was brought about by the position of Russia, China, and the Mideast nations in the telling Mr. Obama to pay up and shut up regarding all the financial espionage, financial aggression, financial frauds, global crisis, economic crisis, brought about by the 1991 $240 billion. And that 120 billion were, one was aimed at the Japanese yen, the other was the old through the Deutschmark, both used by the U.S. Federal Reserve banking to bring down the U.S. dollar. Now, why? Why would they want to do that? Well, the Federal Reserve's bank's receivership on the United States was running out. The Council on Foreign Relations, containing such members as G.H.W. Bush, Bill Clinton, and many other recognizable names, highly recognizable, representing the U.S. House and Senate, was to form the runway, so to speak, with the global banking and the IMF and the World Bank. Now, the global settlements which we've been talking about are part of the keys to all of this. And why do you think the dinar has not paid? Why do you think that none of the other victims' nations' currencies has been levied or revalued? Well, Mr. Putin simply said, in essence, the world is tired of the Federal Reserve's funding money. Our gold reserves were stolen. Other nations' gold reserves were stolen, and we would not have known about it as the representatives of the White House, Mr. Timothy Geithner, Mr. Jamie Dimon, and others, offered to take from the CEO of Durham Holding Trust the $40 billion in gold bullion. And when they were asked to pour their own assay, recertified, that's when everybody found out they had nothing. Absolutely nothing. So that's what all of this is about. Now, Mr. Benjamin Fulker, interviewed by Aaron Wilson on 9/12/13, appears to have knowledge of what is contained in DK Durham's Thursday, September the 12th, 2013 corrections of the information formerly made public by the Veterans News Today on November the 11th, 2012 article, which I responded to corrections, and those corrections, which are stated, they said in there that my husband was involved with Mr. Bush in putting down those transactions in 1991. No, my husband was not a part of anything that involved Mr. Bush. Mr. Bush and Mr. Clinton were the ones that killed him because he wouldn't sign off. Now, I think that if you view the documents of validation of the Durham Holding Trust, you're going to find the property owned by this belongs to the American people, that belongs to the corporate America. And you will find that that is the one that they've written all of this, these tax funds. And but we, and alleging Mr. Herman was involved. Well, I have news for you. Mr. Herman owned nothing, had no signatory power. He was not involved in any way, shape, form, or fashion, nor was I. I think you will all remember, those who have continued listening to us, about the Project Hammer and how it got its name and why I underwrote it. Well, I reposted this. It's to offset the statements made in Veterans News Today. There were two Project Hammers. The original one, which was the original OSI put by Harry Truman, which was stolen by George Bush and Jacob III. Okay? When Mr. Herman came to me in, I think it was 87, 88, he came to me and wanting me to re-underwrite the Project Hammer of Mr. Truman, which I did. I put a 15,000 20 acres of micro-alluvial gold property to cover it. It's $35 billion assay. Now, I wanted this to make certain that the real Project Hammer, which I put, which was President Truman's orders to bring the gold home, which my husband was working on, and that's why I underwrote Project Hammer. And it has nothing to do with the Project Hammer of the Bush transaction.